Yo guys, what's going on? It's Rose here. Bring you guys the Season 8 draft analysis for RCL. We're in the B division. We've been in A division literally every season that this has been running, but last season I didn't play very well. I really didn't give much of a fuck, and it regulated us down to B-Div. But, you know, it's fine. It's totally fine. You know what? I'm just going to have to prove why I deserve to be an A-Div again. Because I know I deserve to be an A-Div. Most of the guys in the server know I deserve to be there. I just didn't play very well. And that's fine. We all have a bad season. We all have bad times. But it's fine. But yeah, before I get into this, I'm going to go over a few things. Just going over what the league is. So we have a normal National Dex post-home draft. This is on Showdown. And how Terra Captains work. We are getting Terra Captains. It's not like free Terra or anything like that. How this one works is you pick 2 Terra Captains. One at 10 points or higher, and one below 10 points. You get to choose one of each, and each Pokemon you get to choose a type. So like if I were to pick a Mono as my Terra Captain, not only does it have to fall within that price range, but it also can only Terrestrialize into one type the entire season. Interesting little way to do it. I don't hate it, so we're going to see how that plays out for us. But yeah, I had the 9th overall pick out of, I think, 14 coaches. Definitely not great, kind of being stuck right in the fucking middle. I was kind of hoping for a few things to fall to me. Iron Bundle was something I was looking at. Palafin was something I was looking at, and that was really it. Iron Bundle got taken. Palafin made it to me. However, when it came to my pick, somehow Roaring Moon made it to the 9th pick. I don't know. I do not know how this thing made it to the 9th pick. There were a couple of teams, like there was a team that took Hisuian Zoroark at like 6th overall or something, and the next person took Skeledirge as a round 1. I don't know why. They're not bad mods, but round 1, when Roaring Moon's still on the board, when there's still, like, I think Walking Wake was still on the board as well at that point. So, I mean, there was a lot of great shit on the board at their picks, and they took some decent mons, but, like, they took, like, round 3 or 4 Pokemon. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you guys don't know Roaring Moon, I mean, this thing, it's fucking ridiculous. 119 speed, 139 attack. Can Dragon Dance, Dark Dragon as its type combo, so it hits really, really hard, honestly. It doesn't deal with fairies very well, but that's fine. We don't need to deal with fairies very well, because we have other things, such as Iron Moth. I got Iron Moth in the go-around. I'm a happy guy. I'm content with this. This is actually one of our Terra Captains. I didn't do the Iron Moth Terra Captain thing. I chose Iron Moth as one of our Terra Captains. It is Terra Water only. We can only Terrestrialize into the Water type, but we can do that pretty much whenever the fuck we want. So that's kind of cool. 110 speed, 110 special defense, 140 special attack. This is a ridiculous Pokemon. Fire Poison as its type combo. This thing is pretty solid coverage. The only thing that sucks is it lost Quiver Dance. I think Volcarona still has it, but this thing does not, which sucks. But it still has agility, so agility, booster, energy, quark drive, you know, could come in handy for us. And I'm actually really excited to use it. I think Iron Moth is actually really solid. I think it was like 14 or 15 points. It was pretty decently priced. So definitely, like, out of our first 2 picks, we've already used like a third of our point total. We have 115 points to, you know, build anywhere from 9 to 12 Pokemon. And out of the first 2 picks, I think I used like 35 almost. So 30 something points I used on the first couple of picks. So definitely, you know, needing to find some value in the later rounds. Next up we have Palafin. So I'll say this. I didn't originally so like I said, I originally wanted Palafin, but then I saw Roaring Moon, took Roaring Moon instead. Here, originally, I took Iron Hands. And then the guy that drafted Palafin in this pick actually was like, he said, you know what? I'm not really feeling it. I'm willing to, he said he was willing to part with Palafin for the right price. I had originally drafted Toxapex onto my team. I was like, you know what, straight up, Palafin for Toxapex. And he said no, and quote, the only thing he would have interest in on my team was Roaring Moon. 5 minutes later, he said, you know what, Iron Hands for Palafin. I jumped on that shit so fast. Super fast. Because you know what? This thing's fucking ridiculous, and the fact that I get to have it is kind of stupid. 160 attack, 106 special attack, 100 base speed is pretty solid. And it's on our team now. So there's that. I still don't know how I did this. But if you look at this. Out of 3 Pokemon, we've used like 50 some odd points. Almost half our point total is in 3 Pokemon. Like, it's kind of dumb. But I'm all here for it. Next up, we got Hisuian Decidueye. Now, this is interesting. I've never used any of the Legends Arceus Pokemon. I don't think I've used any of them. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of cool. I want to try it. This gives me Defog, which is something I needed. It gives me a slower, bulky attacker, which is, something I needed. It gives me a grass type, which is nice because it helps with the Iron Moth. And we work well with like Palafin because ice weakness. And we work well with Iron Moth. It's like this and Iron Moth go hand in hand. Because this one gets U-turn, so does Iron Moth. And they counterbalance their weaknesses really, really, really well. The only thing they don't share like a fondness for is psychic types. But that's fine. We have fucking Roaring Moon for that. So far out of our first 4 picks, we're doing very well. Overgrow and Scrappy as those abilities, as you see, which means not only are we immune to Intimidate, but Ghost types still will not appreciate a close combat, which means Goldango will die to close combat. It's pretty fucking cool if I do say so myself. But yeah, I mean, this thing, you can see, it's pretty bulky. Basically 90 HP, 80 defense, 95 special defense. That's pretty solid bulk with leftovers and everything. Could be really solid. And its attacking stats are like, it's honestly all around a really good mod. The only thing that holds it back is speed, and that's perfectly fine. It doesn't need to be super fast when you're pretty bulky. Next up, we got Florges. This is like a perennial member of my team. I drafted this thing. I've been drafting this thing more often recently. Florges, I love Florges. Bulky Wish Passer, gets Defog, Heal Bell, and everything like that. And hits really, really, really hard. I'm actually using it in a different Showdown League, where I think in a game it picked up like almost 3 kills because of the fact that my opponent had no switch-ins to it. And 112 special attack, Stab, Fairy, Moonblast. I mean, it's not something to scoff at. Its abilities are completely useless. Absolutely, wholeheartedly, completely useless. But that's perfectly fine. And it's very specially bulky, has almost no physical bulk. Again, that's fine. We get Calm Mind, Moonblast, we get Grass type coverage as well, a little bit. But honestly, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell, Moonblast could be the set that I run pretty much every week, and I will never complain. If I need to run Defog, I run Defog, but I don't really need to. Next up, we got Mohawk the Straptor. Now, this thing was 10 points, which means even though it would be a pretty solid Terra Captain, we can't terrestrialize it because we chose Iron Moth as our Terra Captain, and it's 10 or above or 9 and below as the bracketing, how they did it. But Straptor, fucking phenomenal Pokemon. I mean, 100 base speed, 120 attack, and this thing with Reckless, Double Edges, and Brave Birds, this thing is very hard to switch into, unless you're a Steel type. But then guess the fuck what? We get close combat, so it's fine. We don't need to worry about anything anymore. We're good. This thing with Choice Band has very few switch-ins. It's another U-turner, which is great. Pretty much everything on our team at this point gets some form of momentum. Roaring Moon gets U-turn. Iron Moth gets U-turn. Florges gets Baton Pass. This gets U-turn. Everything gets some form of momentum so far, which is great. Next up, we got Don Phampus making its return to the Las Vegas Rotoms. We're using this in the DDL right now. It's doing very well for us so far. You guys already know what this thing does. It's a very good bulky ground. It gets stealth rocks, earthquake, gets access to things like rapid spin and knockoff, which I believe even with post home, there's not that many that get knockoff because it got removed from a lot of Pokemon's move pools. So like this thing hits with 120 attack, it hits really hard. With 90 HP and 120 defense, this takes decent hits, and it pairs pretty well with Florges in that aspect. Like this is the bulky defensive Pokemon, and Florges is the specially defensive Pokemon, so it's like it works out pretty well. Next up, we got Grimsley the Bisharp, man. I actually, I misspelled pressure. Fuck. It's fine. We're just gonna go with it. I've actually only used this one other time, I believe. I used it in, I think it was like an Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire low tier league, but it was during Gen 8 or during Gen 7, something like that, somewhere in that kind of time frame. And this thing actually put into some work in like the 3 or 4 games that the league was open before it folded. This thing had like 9 kills or something. Like this thing was popping the fuck off because Sucker Punch just had no switch-ins. And it's even better now because with Kingambit being a thing, this thing gets Eviolite access, which is really, really good. 65 HP is nothing great, but with 100 defense and 70 special defense, and then on top of that, the 50% boost from Eviolite basically makes this thing one of like the bulky, like this thing is really, really, really good. Sucker Punch, this gets knockoff, this gets Iron Head, this gets Stealth Rocks as well. I mean, we have like some really good abilities here, and Defiant and Inner Focus are great abilities. Defiant, if we get a stat dropped, we get a +2 attack, so Intimidate gives us +1 essentially, and Inner Focus makes us immune to Intimidate. So it's like we're good, we're golden. Pressure, you guys probably already know what it does, so I don't gotta worry about that. But it's like honestly, this thing, I love Bisharp. I've only used it that one time, and I didn't really use it for that long because the league fucking died. So yeah, I mean, it was like I'm excited to use this thing, and having this as our steel type is a good thing in the aspect that it's very good offensive steel. But the only thing is, it's not a great switch into fairies. But then we have Iron Moth, so it's like it's fine. Who needs it? Next up, we got Chitpots, the Poltegeist, which is our other Terra Captain. This thing was 6 points, and I opted to have Terra Fighting on this. There's a bunch of different ways I could have gone with it, but Terra Fighting, just giving that access to cover for those dark types that we don't really want to deal with very well. Like Colbur Berry being an option, which is great for things with Sucker Punch. Bisharp being one of them, but we have it, so we don't got to worry about it as much. Weak Armor and Curse Body as the abilities, pretty solid abilities. Weak Armor, you guys have seen what I've done with Armarouge with Weak Armor in the DDL, so I've done very well with that, especially as of recent. And then Curse Body, it's honestly like an underrated ability. I think it's like a 30% chance to completely disable a move, which is pretty cool. And with this thing's bulk, it's not great bulk. 114 special defense is really the only thing going for it bulk wise. 134 special attack is phenomenal, coupled with the fact this thing gets Shell Smash with potential White Herb. I mean, this thing it's very, very, very good, and I'm very excited to use it. Next up, we got Indeedee. We get both Indeedees, so you'll see split name and split stats here. We get Inner Focus, Synchronize, and Psychic Surge as the abilities. We get access to both, which is cool. And with the Psychic terrain being up, things like Poltegeist don't have to worry about Sucker Punches. That also means that Bisharp can't use Sucker Punch. It's fine. It's fine. We don't need it. This just means we have a good, pretty bulky Psychic type Pokemon that hits pretty hard with Expanding Force and Hyper Voice. Its dual stab has very, very, very few switch-ins, so I'm really excited to use it. I think I used Indeedee before, maybe. If I did, it was at like the beginning of Gen 8, and I think I maybe used it one time. So we'll see how this thing goes. I'm not expecting much out of this. I'm just expecting it to really just be a decent Scarfer option. That's really about it. That's all I'm expecting out of this, is to be a decent scarfer. That's it. And last but not least, we have Shiverfly the Frostmoth. I've never used Frostmoth. I love Frostmoth. I think it's really cool. It's a really good Quiver Dance user. Getting Shield Dust as well is actually really nice for it, because that means if we somehow live in Ironhead, we're not getting flinched. It's pretty cool. I don't know if Shield Dust protects against Fake Out, because I don't know if it counts that as a secondary effect or not. I don't think it does, so it probably won't work against that, but it's an option. I could have done like a Terra Water or Terra Rock or something with this, but I think that Poltergeist is going to end up doing more for us in the long run. That's just my personal opinion. But realistically, this thing, it's a solid low tier sweeper. It's pretty bulky, as you see, with 70 HP, 90 special defense. 60 defense is not great, it's not good, but that's fine. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get out of you guys' hair. Let me know what you guys think our record is gonna be. I believe this is a 9-week season. I believe so. I kind of feel like we're gonna go like 6-3, maybe 7-2, maybe. Only because here's the thing. I think we have a really good team, but I have a feeling I'm either gonna play really dumb at some point in this season, or I'm gonna get fucked by hacks, and it's just not gonna end well. We definitely do have a chance to win the whole thing with our team. Like, our team is very good. Out of the 14 coaches, we got ranked 10th in the power rankings. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think we could very easily be a top 5 team if they really look into it, but we can definitely be a top tier team and be a huge threat to this league. So I'm hoping I prove everybody wrong. I prove that A, I should not have been able to get Roaring Moon at pick fucking 9, and B, I should not have been able to trade an Iron Hands for Palafin. Now, Iron Hands is not a bad Pokemon. It is a good Pokemon. But for Palafin? Fucking wild. I don't understand. But, like I said, I'm going to get out of you guys' hair. Let me know what you guys think our record's going to be, like I said. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.